Alright, so this video is supposed to be ham hock and beans, how to cook them, but I couldn't find the ham hock, which is ham with a big piece of bone around it and or inside of it, and I couldn't find it, so I'm gonna make it. I'm gonna use bacon instead. I bought some bacon, so it's gonna be beans and bacon, slow cooked, with cornbread. Okay, this is a staple of the poor man's diet. Okay, it's a very good meal, very tasty, and it's very inexpensive. So I got the beans. I got 1 pound in a 1 pound bag of pinto beans, and I fill them with water and let them soak for a whole day, 24 hours. Okay, and that'll help make them cook faster when you cook them the next day. That's the first step. Okay, so get your 1 pound bag of pinto beans and let them soak in the bowl with water for about a whole day. All right, so next I'm going to add some onion, some white onion and a yellow onion. I had one small white onion and one small yellow onion, which, it's a good amount. And I'm going to add this to the pot of beans. I'm going to cook those beans in a crock pot. But you know what? I'm going to saute this mixture of white and yellow onion, on the stovetop. I'm going to saute the onions in butter and garlic. And I'm going to cook them about halfway through. And then I'm going to add them into the crock pot and let them cook the rest of the way in the crock pot. And I got a package of bacon. I'm going to do the same thing with the bacon. I'm going to chop it up into like 1-inch chunks. And then I'm going to cook the bacon on the skillet about halfway through. And then I'm going to dump everything into the crock pot of beans cooking. All right, I got my stainless steel pan. You could use whatever pan you want, but I got a stainless steel pan. I put a splash of olive oil. I don't know what that is. Could be like maybe 3 teaspoons of olive oil. I got my onions all diced up. I'm going to add those in there. I'm going to scrape that out too. But anyways, and then I'm going to add about 3 tablespoons of butter. I know it sounds like a lot, but you're going to add that into a big, huge pot of beans, so it'll be fine. All right, so I got this on medium heat on my stovetop, my stainless steel pan with my little bit of olive oil, my white and yellow onion. I got my butter, 3 tablespoons of butter, and I got 2 tablespoons of garlic, minced garlic. And I'm going to let that simmer. I'm going to cover it. And I'm going to cook it about halfway through, okay? So you don't want to cook it all the way. Maybe cook it halfway, kind of tenderize it a little bit, and then we're going to throw that into the pot of beans. Let it cook in the crock pot. Okay, so while the onions are sauteing on the stovetop, I got my 1 package of bacon here, 12 ounces, okay? Happens to be Oscar Mayer original bacon, naturally hardwood smoked. I've never had this before, but I liked how it looked like there was more meat than fat on this. So I do want some meat in here, So that's what I'm going to use. I'm going to chop this up into like 1-inch pieces, half-inch pieces, and then I'm going to go ahead and cook them on the stovetop. Once I get my onions out of the way, I'm going to cook them on the stovetop and about halfway through again. And then don't cook it all the way. And then we're going to dump that into the crock pot with the onion. Alright, so occasionally you will have to stir these onions. Take off the lid, stir them with the garlic and butter and everything. And you want to do that frequently. Probably every couple minutes until, like I said, we're only going to cook these halfway. So they shouldn't be a dark golden brown. Maybe just when they start to turn a little bit brown, we're going to stop and we're going to add these into the pot of beans in my crock pot. In case you're wondering, this is how I did it. I just kind of eyeballed it, but they're pretty much a half-inch wide, and that'll be the right size for the meal to add to those beans. Okay, so the onions are done. They're not quite cooked all the way, but they're close. And we're just gonna take these off the burner. Sorry about all that noise. Take these off the burner. We're gonna cover it, and then put it off to the side. Keep it covered so it stays warm. And I'm gonna get a pan over here, a deep dish pan, and cook that 1 pound of bacon that I chopped up. But I'm only gonna cook it halfway through. Alright, so here's a 1 pound bag of pinto beans that I had purchased. Doesn't really matter, I don't think. Just what I got at the store that I was at. But it's a 1 pound bag, and it gives you some instructions on here, okay? And it's telling you for a quick soak, you could do this, 1 pound bag of beans. You're going to add 6 to 8 cups of hot water, bring to rapid boil, boil for 2 minutes. Remove from heat, cover and let stand 1 hour, drain, soak, water, and rinse beans. Well, I didn't do that first one. I did the overnight soak. Okay, so you rinse and you sort the beans in a large pot, okay? You're going to make sure there's no rocks and nothing that you don't want to eat. Because sometimes when they harvest these beans from the ground, you get debris that gets into the bags, like rocks or whatever. Okay, so you're going to rinse and sort these beans in a large pot, which I did. 1 pound bag. I added 6 to 8 cups of water. Yep, I let stand overnight for at least 6 to 8 hours. Probably more like 14 now. Drain, soak water, and rinse beans. So now we're going to drain these beans over here. We're going to drain those off into a colander. Okay, it's a bowl with like little holes all around it. And that will help you retain the beans and rinse the water out. We're going to put fresh water in, okay? So you might be wondering, what is a colander? Well, it's basically something like this, okay? It's a bowl that has holes in it that will let the water drain. You can rinse stuff off and still retain the product in the bowl, which I did. Now I'm going to add this to the crock pot, and I'll continue the video from there. Okay, meanwhile, you're going to stir this pot of bacon bits, okay? 1 pound of bacon that I chopped in about 1/2 inch pieces. You're going to make sure that you don't overcook it. You're only going to cook this halfway through, okay? It's going to cook the rest of the way in the crock pot, and we're going to measure it to temperature before we remove it from the crock pot to make sure it's safe to eat, because this is pork, okay? So you got to be careful. That's why I'm cooking it halfway through. It's going to speed the process of cooking in the crock pot. Alright, so now that the bacon's simmering, the beans are in the crock pot, haven't added no water yet. I'm going to tell you how much water right now. So it says, cooking directions: add 6 cups of hot water to drained and rinsed beans. Simmer gently with lid tilted until desired tenderness is reached, about 1.5 to 2 hours. I'm going to go with 2 hours. And like I said, I'm going to use a digital thermometer. Make sure the temperature is the way I like it, because we're using pork, right? Bacon. So you got to be very careful. Okay, so here's our dry beans. I rinsed them. Bam, they're in there. So now I'm going to add, it says 6 cups of hot water. So this is a 2 cup capacity right there. 2 cups. All right. Little measuring pitcher. So I'm going to fill 3 of these up to that line where it says 2 cups. I'm going to use distilled water. I don't like using city water for nothing, okay? It's just what I do. And so I'll add 3 cups of hot water from my water tower into this pot. And then I will add the bacon, half cooked, and the onions that are half cooked into the pot. And I'll add some seasonings. I'll show you what I'm going to use, and you just got to flavor to taste. Just add a little bit, let it cook a little bit for 5 minutes. Get a little spoon, kind of taste the broth of it. Make sure it's the flavor you like. And it's pretty simple. Not hard, I don't think, but I don't really have any specific measurements for the seasonings. All right, so the bacon's halfway cooked. Okay. Now I'm going to throw the whole thing in with a spoon, spatula, I'm going to get the grease, everything into that pot because the grease has a lot of flavor. Trust me, you want to do that. Alright, so I added the sauteed onion, butter, and garlic out of that one pan into the pot with the all the bacon. And I'm going to mix it up real good with those pinto beans and that 6 cups of hot water. And then I got my crock pot set on high for half an hour just to get this thing nice and hot. And then I'm going to reduce it down to low and probably cook it for 2.5 hours and then check the temperature. Probably at about hour and a half and see what's going on. If I need to put it back on high, I will. But you want to make sure that the temperature before you turn this thing off, make sure it's about a minimum of 190 degrees. Okay, that's my recommendation, 190 degrees. Just to make sure that you're safe from any kind of bacteria from that pork. Okay, from the bacon. Alright, so I'm going to let this simmer for a little bit. Well, like I said, I got it for half an hour on high. And then, once it warms up, then I'll get my little dry rub seasonings and stuff like that and add stuff, sprinkle stuff in there for more flavor. And I'll show you that here in a second. Alright, now I'm going to add a 1/4 tablespoon of garlic herb, black pepper, and sea salt McCormick. Find it at Walmart. Here we go. Bam. Mix that in. And we're gonna do the Costco brand organic salt seasoning, or I'm sorry, organic no salt seasoning. It's pretty good stuff. We'll do like maybe half of that. Alright, so here it goes. And mix that in. And I'm going to do just a little couple dashes of the cayenne pepper to wake up the flavor. Because the pepper does wake up flavor in the food. But not too much, just a couple little spritzes on there. And then I got this stuff called Spanglish Asadero, which I got from a local meat market. It's all-purpose seasoning. It's really good on all kinds of stuff. I'm going to add probably just a teaspoon of that in there. Delicious. So this is finally done. It took about 5 hours on high on the crock pot. So I probably should have boiled them on the stovetop by themselves, the beans, for about almost 2 hours and then put them in the crock pot. But so if you want to do that, you can do that. But if not, make sure you start them early. Take about 5 hours. And then you got to have your cornbread. So we got this at the store, and it's pretty simple. There's instructions on the back on how to, cook the cornbread in the oven. There you go. Enjoy.